Howdy y'all, it's your favorite trainer with a belt buckle. Today we have a special guest speaker, Chris, inventor of the ankle thingy. This sucker is really cool for those that lack ankle dorsiflexion. He created this while he was a trainer, the top trainer at Equinox, number 5 overall. Let us know what you think. If you want to become a successful trainer, listen to his words and read the book. All right, everybody, we are lucky to have one of the top trainers at Equinox. Really cool story with Mr. Chris here, from getting hired with a unique resume to working all hours of the day to build up to become the #1 trainer, and then leaving and retiring and creating a really cool product, which is the ankle thingy. This is just a really neat product that, through his years of being in the trenches, used his innovative and strategic ideas not only to survey his clients, but to come up with a product that is worthy of helping a lot of people who have restriction of their ankles. So let's talk about you, sir, from when you started out at Santa Monica. That was probably, when did you first start there? 2017, 16?
It was 2016 or 17, yeah.
Okay, nice. Tell us your story, my man.
Well, what exactly would you like to know? Where it started with you, or
So when you
just
got,
how it started at Equinox?
I would say at Equinox. So you went through, at the time I was teaching at MPTI, we helped you spruce up your resume, and together we have come together again, and we're working together right now. Show up. We took the 6-month MPTI, we've condensed it now into our 2-month internship. So he went through MPTI 2014, 15, probably, right?
2016.
Oh, 16, all right. And then got hired at Equinox, and then you were one of the top trainers at Equinox. COVID happened, the development of this, and then we'll go from there. I'll ask you some questions.
Oh yeah. I think while I was still with you, you took us to the Santa Monica Equinox to do like a walkthrough or something with the PTM, and that's where we had our opportunity to make our first contact with them, kind of get our name in the door. Back then, Santa Monica Equinox was like, I'm pretty sure that was like the first or second most sought after one that most trainers applied to and wanted to work at. And the trainers making the most money were at that one, or is always between that one and the West LA one. And I had it. I did my applications for gyms after MPTI, after I got my certification. Like I did college applications back in the day, where I did the one I thought probably wasn't going to hire me first. And so I did Santa Monica Equinox, like I think it was like Crunch or.
When you finished MPTI, did you get your NASM or anything like that?
Yeah, I got the NASM, super easy test. And then, yeah, so I did the Santa Monica one first, because I figured that one probably they won't hire me, because I have, all I had was the NASM, and I did MPTI in your internship, and when I went in there, they made it seem like it was pretty hard to get hired there. And a lot of the trainers that they hire already have like pretty extensive experience or like big Instagrams or whatever. So I just assumed, my confidence wasn't that big yet. So I just assumed they weren't going to hire me. And they did you had to do 4 interviews, I think 3 or 4 interviews back then. So you would go in and do a group interview where they would bring in like 20 people. To do like a group interview thing, and that's when my confidence was probably the lowest, because all the people that came in for that group interview were in better shape than me, had big Instagrams, and had been training for years already at other gyms or had their own businesses. And then I did 2 or 3 more one-on-one interviews with Annie, who was the FM or PTM at the time, and Sarah, who was the general manager. And after it took about a week and a half, like 10 days to get through all those interviews. And after my last one, literally as I was walking home, Cassie, who was the PTM at the time, just called me and said, "We're not going to waste any time. Do you want to start Tuesday?" And I said, "Of course." And I was shocked because I was like getting ready. I was literally getting ready to go to Crunch to do my next interview at Crunch Fitness. And I took it. I was super excited, but I was also really scared
Mhm.
because it was, everyone puts Equinox on a pedestal as far as working at big box gyms as a trainer. And yeah, it started right away and did not know what I was doing there at all yet.
Mhm. And we have another YouTube with Chris going over what it's like working there. So you can watch that video. It's not going to change. Obviously, I think it would be good to hear a elevator speech on, because I mean, you have no ties to Equinox anymore. The pros and the cons, maybe one of each on working at Equinox. Because ultimately, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you would be where you're at today if it wasn't for Equinox, right?
No, not at all. I think there was, I don't, I think that if you were going to work at a big box gym, as far as like out of all the major corporate gyms out there, if you're going to work at one of those, work at Equinox. That would be my kind of elevator pitch for if you're going to work anywhere. You make really, really good money there. They have a pretty solid corporate ladder system, so you can work your way up the corporate ladder there. You don't have to be a trainer forever. It is kind of like, there's politics and bureaucracy and everything, but I think as far as the corporate companies go, Equinox is the best run, has the best system for trainers. You have the most income potential. They also have just the best uh, incentives, just in general. They take good care of the trainers in a lot of ways. You have great benefits, great continued education. I wouldn't say great, but they have continued education.
Mhm. I, what I see like on Reddit, and I'll always come across some Equinox trainer who will bitch and complain, saying it's so hard to make money there. It's unrealistic. And in my opinion, those are always the trainers that don't look the part. And they're not that well
Absolute
versed in,
horseshit. Like,
right? It's
yeah,
it's not easy. It's not like you just show up at 9 and leave at 5. You're going to be there. And you have stories that you're there at 5 a.m. and leave at 10 p.m. You grind it out. It's a young person's game, I think. Like you can't expect to have 2, 3 kids and a newly wedded husband or wife and expect to be home every day at 5, because that's not going to be the situation at all.
so I'll say that's where you go into the cons of working there. I mean, the amount of work I did um, to get to, like, being a top trainer there is completely unsustainable. And the cool thing was, the type of clients I had at Equinox were phenomenal. Like I trained literally like sheiks of the Middle East and CEOs of big major companies, not just millionaires, billionaires. I trained billionaires. And so like that stuff was all great, but the amount of time it took, the amount of hours I was there, and then the main thing that happened to me was I was working so much that I fell out of love for training myself. Yeah, which I've recently, since I've left, kind of fallen back into love with. And I really miss that. Like that was such a shame to me when I was, doing 200 plus sessions in a month and just absolutely did not want to work out ever, ever, which is so like ironic being a personal trainer. Like this is our lives, and then we absolutely don't want to work out anymore.
And
Yeah,
I
I had no personal life at all.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
that's not how it has to be. It's just
no,
being honest on what it is. But I think the cooler things that we can highlight are the transitions after, because COVID happened and right before. So I know because of the connections that I have in late 2019, your staff was right around 4,000 total trainers. And then COVID happened and it went down to, I saw numbers as low as 1,200. So we lost a lot of trainers. Some people say it was good because it trimmed off the fat. And if you're really serious about this, you're going to stick around.
mm,
No, Equinox, it was just a tough situation. They're not going to be able to pay everyone for years while, the economy was shut down. So they had
right.
to go a ton of people, but you did a really creative thing. And I give you a ton of credit because you had a nice spot in Venice. You were able to bring over most of your clients, and you were able to set up some type of monthly EFT, and you were making a shit ton of money. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so when COVID happened, we did like, I mean, I remember talking to you back then in LA with how harsh the shutdowns were and everything. We didn't know how long this was going to go on for. Like, we didn't know what to do. And I was living in this apartment, like small little apartment. And I started going a little stir crazy. And so I built weights out of like cement and rebar and stuff. And and I just started working out in my garage. And then my clients asked if they could come work out. And so I was literally training people like prison style in my garage, like the apartment garage building with these cement blocks that had like rebar and PVC in them. And once I had enough clients, like within a few weeks doing that, and I was charging them a little bit of money, not a lot, just trying to get something. And I was like, all right, this is viable. I can afford to get a nicer apartment where I could like build a home gym in it, because the demand for personal training was getting higher and higher as COVID kind of dragged on a little bit. And I did some calculations and I got that really nice apartment that you saw. It was like a penthouse. Like, so my clients were all very affluent for the most part. So I couldn't train them in a dungeon somewhere forever. So I basically got like a really nice apartment. I took advantage of like the COVID drop in rent and everything that happened out there. Signed a great lease and but got a 2-bedroom penthouse and turned the second bedroom basically into a gym. And I tried to copy Equinox
Just
in
give
a lot of
everyone
ways.
an idea of when he says nice. I mean, this isn't like a $2,000 a month spot. I went there, checked it out, and I remember, well, I'm like, holy shit, this place is badass. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
plush. They say
So
plush.
it was $6,000 a month.
That
I
was
think
with the discount because of COVID.
that was with the discount. It was originally like 8.5 grand, and then because of COVID, they dropped it to 6 grand. And then just for parking, it was like another $600 a month or something.
Mhm.
But I tried to basically copy Equinox in a lot of ways with this gym. So like I made my own eucalyptus towels and like froze them and stuff. My clients had their own personal bathroom with a shower, towels, I had like a closet, a huge walk-in closet where they had their own area where they could leave their stuff. I had a juice bar or a protein shake bar that I built. I literally built it into the side of the wall, where I would make all my clients protein shakes, and I went way beyond. So I did a lot of, I cooked the meal prep for a lot of my clients. I literally, if they had like a vitamin thing, like, cause I sent them off to get their blood work done. And if they had vitamin deficiencies and everything, I had all that lined up ready for them, almost like, here's your like little to-go packet with a protein shake and vitamins, or and your meal prep for the day. So it was really high-end service. Like, it was like Equinox, but literally Equinox times 10, if anything.
And you were charging, was it $1,800 a month?
It depended. So like I had some clients that were, seeing me 5-6 times, and they were paying me for like 6 months to a year out. I charge those guys like 75 a session on, if you calculated it by session. And then I've had some people paying me like 700 for an hour.
Hmm.
We were just doing like one every here and there, but the way I charge people was more like a retainer system, like a lawyer. So you bought a time slot and you paid for the entire month. And if you didn't make it, you didn't fucking make it. If you don't pay me, I have someone waiting who's going to buy that slot. And I think I had 10 or 12 slots a day, and they were pretty much booked out. Like, from the time I opened it up, it was booked out for like a year and a half. I think only 1 month in December or something did I have like 2 slots open for a little bit, but Yeah, so I had a huge chunk of cash coming in like beginning of every month.
Hmm. And that's so cool to see the pivot during COVID, because most trainers weren't able to do that. And then while you were at your latter end of your tenure at Equinox, well, before you quit, obviously, you came up with the idea to start using this little device. That's what I was trying to put on. I was not trying to be rude. I got it on my foot right now. And so you can see that this device has these balls that will go right into your tarsals. And essentially it's acting as a form of, you know, release to that area, which most of us will experience with our clients. Dorsiflexion is,
Yeah.
should be between about 18 to 20 degrees. We lack that, obviously, outside of your special populations like sprinters and stuff. But for the most part, having that restriction isn't optimal. And so this thing is
Yeah.
pretty magical. So why don't you tell us about it?
So I'm glad you touched on that. Pretty much the only group of people I think that don't benefit, that shouldn't use this, is runners, or not long distance runners, but sprinters, because they need that, almost that little spring to, it'll make them slower. But yeah, so this is ankle thingy. We kind of named it on the whim. I just didn't know what to name it, but it ended up working. So, as a trainer, I focused a lot on my clients' ankles. And it started because when I played professional basketball and college basketball, my strength coaches focused a lot on our dorsiflexion, and it was such a problem with us. And I noticed the same problem with just the general population, is that their dorsiflexion is absolute dog shit. And so getting people to squat deep, for example, which is such a big part of my training program, is being able to squat or do lunges. People just couldn't get the range of motion. And so what I would do is apply SMR pressure, like trigger points, using my thumbs into the anterior part of where the ankle flexes. And guys, like, if you look at like the squat university guy, I forget his name now. It's like Dr. Aaron,
Aaron Horse.
yeah, Horshik. He talks about how he does that a lot too with people, and he uses something called like banded mobilization exercises, where you put the band around it. You even taught us that at MPTI and Show Up, and it's just kind of a nightmare to do it all the time, and it's not enough. It's not enough, the amount that you usually, if you have a trainer digging into that anterior part of where the ankle flexes, or if you do all the work to get a band tied to something that's not going to fly off, and get into a lunge and dig into that ankle, it's just not enough time. You need to do it a lot more. And so I basically, just one of my clients, who the only thing that took away his back pain was when I dug into his ankles. And so he traveled a lot. He runs a billion-dollar company. He's CEO of a billion-dollar company. And he says, I can't do this anymore, because I only see you periodically, because I'm in China this month, and then this, and then whenever I see other trainers, they never really fucking know what to do, blah blah blah. Can you just like make me something that I can wear? And I fucked around with a bunch of ideas for a few 6 weeks or a few months, and then I made something that kind of worked, and then I got my mom, who's like a sewing expert, to like sew some shit together, and next thing I know, and it worked pretty well. I had another client that had an ankle injury. I said, hey, throw this on, see what happens. And he had to drive from LA to San Francisco, and I had him wear it during that drive. And he called me at the end of it and said, my pain's completely gone. And yeah, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna try this. Who knows? I've never had a product before, but I'll kick myself if I don't at least give it a go. So here we are. We're at the beginning phases of like trying to figure out what to do with it.
And that's just the beauty of market research and starting your own thing, is your product ultimately is on the back of your action and your connections and your networking, and you did your due diligence. You didn't just throw something together half-assed. And I remember I give you a ton of credit, because you reached out to me one day and you're like, I want to take you to dinner. I want to take you to a little fancy steak restaurant, whatever whiskey you want, we'll drink. I'll drink. And you just kind of picked my brain. And one of the first things I remember telling you is that if you might want to be pitching to orthopedics, so we got to be really, really sharp with our anatomy.
Yeah.
And then that's what you did. You went into it and you took your anatomy to the next level. And so there's a certain amount of respect, and something that everyone can be learning from this is you're going to be in front of a lot of unique professionals, billionaires, millionaires, actors, actresses, whatever, and you get to pick their brains. And a trainer is a lot more than just teaching someone how to squat and hinge and push and pull. It's like you're building relationships, and you're going to have a lot of close ties with people, and that can definitely uh, not pursue, but it's going to help open up doors that you may even never even thought would happen before. It's like when you started working at Equinox, you weren't thinking of, I'm going to train a sheik, I'm going to go to, these spots and see all this crazy stuff. But on top of that, getting ideas for products. And so you're able to take that experience, and now you are a business owner. And it's just so cool to see that now the fun begins, because business isn't easy, and working with other people and hiring people and firing people. There's a lot that goes into it, huh?
Yeah. And, if I really would go back and change anything, I think I did the box gym training one-on-one session thing a bit obsessively. And you always said create multiple streams of revenue, blah, blah, blah. And I was always like, dude, I'm not doing that online shit. I'm not doing Instagram. Fuck writing a book, like I just was so obsessed with becoming a really good one-on-one trainer. And, granted, I would confidently say, without any preparation, if you throw me into a one-on-one session with anybody, I will give you a better session than 99.9% of trainers. Like, there's very few guys almost everyone who will train with me, even if I have zero preparation, they'll come out of that going like, that's one of the best sessions I ever had. So that it gave me that, but that skill only works in one-on-one training and maybe my own personal training. The thing I should have done is work on sustainable things, like write a book, like have online programs. Even I was so against the whole online training thing and online programs. I was totally wrong about that. Yes, I have like ankle thingy now, but building a business, you can start with the one-on-one training, but obviously there's a ceiling to it, like a glass ceiling, and like once you get to like 200 sessions, you have no life outside of it. None. 200 sessions is a fuckload. I think I was doing some months when I had my own gym, I was doing like 230, 240 sessions in a month.
The hours is 10-hour days, 6 days a week. I mean, it's not
insane.
easy.
I mean, my wife was like, I never see you. Like, I never see you. And so that's that's if I would go back and change anything, is I would start like a website, I would start a book, I would start I would start something else on the side, and start and dedicate the same amount of obsession to that. And not because I just kept trying to get more sessions, because I'm not going to lie, I was trying to make more money. And every extra session I got was a guaranteed $100 for that hour. And I couldn't get out of that cycle of thinking of getting more sessions to get more money. And now I'm almost doing the opposite. Like, I am not doing any sessions, and I'm doing all this other stuff, trying to get more streams of revenue without doing any sessions. And I don't think I could ever go back to doing one-on-one. Like, I've completely burnt myself out. Like, it's almost like PTSD to go back to doing that. And I enjoy it more now when I'm doing it like with your seminars, and I'm teaching other trainers, or I'm just helping a friend out. I enjoy it again when I do it that way. But when I'm getting paid for the session and like I have to manage a one-on-one business, I could never do that again.
And it's a great learning experience for you, those that are watching. And as my second book comes out, if you haven't read it, make sure to read. But that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about with the 60-30-10 split. So as your goal to make, say, 10 grand a month, 6K coming in from in person, 3K coming from online, 1K coming from products that you could be selling, such as a guide or whatever. But the big problem that our industry has is you don't get paid when you don't work, and insurance and retirement is hard to come across. And so if you go off of the 631 template, you could you could go spend a couple of weeks away and you have that 4,000 that's going to be steady. And so when you come back, you don't have to make up for everything that you lost.
Right.
And you're going to learn how to kind of, it's like a nozzle where it's like, okay, I can turn on a little bit more here. If I want to do some more sessions in person, I can, and then I can turn it down, and then I can enjoy myself while I'm away. Where unfortunate thing is where trainers will leave 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then it's just this nasty cat race, as we'll call it, as your cat is right
I know, cat is
there.
super curious about what's going on. But yeah, like you can make 10 grand a month. I wouldn't say easily doing one-on-one sessions, but like at Equinox, I think it was like once you do like 150 sessions, actually it was less than that, 125 a month, you're making like 10K, you know, before taxes and before they pull out your insurance and everything. You're making about 10K a month, but that's a lot of sessions already. You know, everything past 100 is kind of a lot. Like you're usually there for at least 8 hours in the day. And I think, you know, the way I would do it is you can build your credibility and your skill by doing a lot of one-on-one sessions. Like you can say, I'm going to do a lot of one-on-one sessions for like 2 years or 3 years. And then I'm going to scale it back and I'm going to try to sell X amount of online programs, or I'm going to sell, you know, like because I know a lot of trainers are also influencers, maybe sell merch or something, you know.
Or you get creative
Yeah.
on doing your social media. So you have 1,000, 1,500 bucks coming in from this right now. You know, we don't make a lot of money off our YouTube, but we make 600 bucks and we make, you know, $300-400 off Instagram. So that's 1,000 bucks that we have coming in. So that could be the difference of 10, 15 sessions per month that give you more.
That stuff is much more sustainable, and it does, like I said about training, it doesn't have that glass ceiling. So like you can't do more than, I'm guessing, 250, because when I did 250 sessions, I literally like could not find a time anywhere. So I think you can't do more than 250 sessions in a month. And what's the most you can probably charge? I think the most I charged someone that came in regularly was like 175 or 200. So, you know, what are you making there? Like, what's that in a month? Like, my math brain's not working right now.
Well, it's a good amount of money, but don't get me wrong, but it's just not sustainable. So you're looking, that's like 30-40 grand a month right there if you're going off of those numbers.
Yeah, let's say that's like, yeah, it's like 30-40 grand a month, right? And yeah, I think I was rolling in like 28 grand a month sometimes when I was doing my own personal business in that apartment, but my overhead was really high. So yeah, but you're not, how long are you doing that for? You're not doing that 12 months out the year, you know, and my overhead was high and stuff, but that's the absolute most you can make. You know, it's the app, and there's never going to be more, and you're 100% guaranteed to burn out. You know,
I want to make a really important point here, is that for those that are watching, don't take the polar opposite approach, which I see a lot of now, which is unfortunately where it's like, I'm just going to train 2 or 3 hours a day. You need to gain your career capital, and the more that you're in the gym, the more you're training, it's just going to grow faster. And so if you come in thinking that I'm just going to train 10, 15 hours a week, you're not going to make it in this industry. So it's like, you know, Chris was at 150%. You can do 100%. And especially if you're younger, you have the opportunity to really, you know, dial it in. And there are people that like that thrill of, you know, being in the gym for 8-10 hours a day. You know, do that for the rest of your life, though. Is that going to be smart? As Chris is saying, probably not. So, you know, spend a little bit of time on development on other streams, so then you can, you know, have fun and do your side projects, just like exactly like this. And so this is, again, super proud of everything that you've done, because you are, you know, top 5 trainer when you went through Equinox, and it shows not only from your training, but also, you know, you looked the part. And I always love these stories, because you're not fucking doing a stability ball, BOSU ball press or whatever. It's like you can lift a lot, and when you're walking through the gym, people are going to say like, oh shit, I want to look like that dude. And we need more of that. It's a happy medium, versus you get these polar opposites where it's like you have influencers who are absolutely shredded, but they're dumb as shit. And then on the other side of the table, you have someone who's morbidly obese telling you, oh, we should just, you know, love everything about ourselves, and that's it. It's like, no, let's push ourselves a little bit and ask yourself, are you in the best shape of your life? If you're not, then push it a little bit, and then you can make this into a sustainable career. So
Yeah, I think maybe, if you once you become a personal trainer, you should only focus on getting one-on-one sessions. And I would say, probably around 3,000 to 5,000 sessions is where you become an expert.
Mhm.
Like maybe set that. That's what I would do. I would set like I'm going to do 5,000 sessions in say 3 or 4 years, right? Like I think that's about what I did it in. I think I did 6 or 7,000 sessions in my career of like I did about a 5-year career. So if you set a goal of I'm going to do 3,000 sessions in 3 years, and then I'll start adding something else,
Yeah.
whether it
I
be
like
on,
that.
that might be like where, because then you have the credibility, you've got a client base, and you've got confidence, which is like
Mhm.
a huge thing. And then and you've got you already maybe have some capital that you can kind of play around with a little bit. My problem was I just kept going with it. Like I just kept going with that one-on-one thing. And that was
And
definitely
maybe
my
not with the
fault.
direction, you were just going. So it's like,
I was just going, I was 100% with the one-on-ones. I was like, I don't
so
know, I'm just an obsessive person.
no, that's all right though. But you guys have learned a lot today from this. So make sure to check out Ankle Thingy. You can go to the website. I was actually just on there. I can show you. Nope, I got off of it. But you make sure to check that out. And you can find Chris on. Do you have an Instagram page of Ankle Thingy, or where would people go?
Yeah, yeah, it's just ankle thingy for both Instagram and TikTok. Um, and then yeah, my Instagram and TikTok is just sober trainer, like sober I don't drink trainer.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can just follow those.
Love it. Well, thank you for your time today.